Welcome back to the Men that Can with Lachlan Stuart. We got a returning guest back from episode 312. Watto, can you believe our last episode was in June 7th, 2021?
I can't. I knew it was some time ago, but yeah, when you say it like that, and timelines and things for me, like when you're trying to reflect back, things happening at different times, it's always hard to gauge. So that's cool to hear. I'm excited to be back.
Mate, it's wild. When I was looking back through, because I listened to it again this morning, and I was like, I can't believe it's already been over 3 years. Like that's scary how quickly time goes, mate. And I wanted to get you back on here, one, to catch up, but two, to share with people or allow you to share with people where you're at. You're one of these people that I watch in my life. You do so much more than you say, which I think is probably the most important thing in getting great results in life. You're thriving in footy, you're thriving in business, and you're thriving in your personal life. And you're someone that inspires me. So I wanted to get you on here to give people a bit of an update on where you're at since our last chat, but also I want to pull it apart and I guess find out why you think the way you do. I remember one of the quotes that stood out in our last episode was the universe can get the fuck out of your way, and you appear to be living by that still. So, firstly, dude, how are you?
Mate, I'm great, and I'm glad you mentioned all that. I really appreciate those kind words, and you're an inspiration of mine as well, man. And I appreciate having you as my mentor and everything you do. But yeah, that mindset, I don't know exactly where it comes from, but it's something that it's still there. It still gets me going. It's what uh, gets me out of bed in the morning to keep pressing on. And off the back of the weekend, had a really cool conference away, and I guess going through and reflecting, it was a time for reflection. We reflect on the year. I often forget the cool stuff that I'm doing and probably don't take enough time to actually reflect and go through things because I am always just trying to do more and hunt more. And yeah, there's always things that pop up, and I'm like, have a conversation with someone, and then I probably don't take enough time to let that soak in and go, wow, like that's cool that I did that. Like I brush over that a little bit myself. So I'm excited to unpack it, and going through that with you today will be really cool for me. And as you said, to share that with everyone else as well, because it is something I'm working on. Is I've got a cool story, and sharing it, I probably need to do more of and stop shying away from that so much. So in a setting like this, that's going to be perfect, man.
For sure. Having a weekend to reflect on the progress that you've made, what was one achievement that really stood out for you that you look back and go, you know, what a journey, what a ride?
Yeah, it's a good question because it's been this year especially like, I mean, every year I've always had a growth mindset, and every year's been better than the last. But this year, for me, on a personal level, I feel like I've shifted into being a different person from even a year or two ago, excrementally, like bigger than ever before. And I mean, the award that I did win on the weekend was Entrepreneur of the Year for my business coaching company, and that award is my biggest achievement so far. It really is for me personally. Like, done some cool stuff and been recognized for that in different ways over the last couple of years. But it has to be my biggest win. Like, yeah, it's something that I thought was probably 2 or 3 more years away for me, truly. And to win it this year, I was like, wow, fuck, it gave me validation that I am doing really good, especially compared to some of the amazing people that were in the running for it. I often have thought about that and heard the stories and connected with these people and not ever really put myself on their level. Like I always thought, oh, I've got a bit more to give. And brushing shoulders with those sort of people is always really cool because it does rise you up to do more. And I think now, like, I mean, it's only been a couple of days, but now I see myself on that level, and I probably hadn't quite recognized that yet. I hadn't quite put myself there. And now, you know, I can say that. And yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more time before I fully dive into that and own it. But yeah, it's given me a heap of confidence and belief moving forward. But yeah, I think, one thing, that's probably it. And it only just happened a couple of days ago. But the results of winning that's been so many little wins over the year that I've had just in business and personal life. And yeah, as you said, in footy's been really cool this year, something different. So yeah, this year's been about me and just doing more of me and taking on new experiences, and being a bit more of a yes guy and just saying yes to different things and then we'll work the rest out later.
Mate, congratulations. Firstly, when I saw that, I was like, what a fucking legend. Like, you definitely deserve it. What does it take? Like, what does it really take to win that award? Because there would be people, once again, who are in that same program as you, who look at you and they probably go, wow, like, I want to be there. There's probably those people on the same level as you who do probably understand what it takes. For someone like me or anyone listening, like, what is it actually taken for you to achieve that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I guess the metric that these guys use is very much up for discussion because in my opinion, and I lent into this, so essentially each coach of the company nominates a client or two that they think is worthy. And for me, this is my third year in a row being nominated. And I said as soon as I was nominated, like my coach, man, we work so closely together, Carlson Hizen. He is, yeah, he's been great for me, and getting his recognition for me was a win and the win that I wanted. And then to win this as well is obviously awesome because the boys have seen the work that I've put in as well. But I think for me in my submission, and this is just me personally on entrepreneurship, I've spent a lot of time helping my business and creating my business to work for me, not me work for my business. And that means I'm not going to run some of the numbers that some other people are out there in terms of revenue and members and clients and profits and whatnot, but that's not important to me. So why pursue that direction? For me, entrepreneurship is living the life that you want. And you would understand this, Lockie, about creating the life that you're after. And everything that you do and I do with you has been a huge part of that as well. And it's about working out what makes you tick, what makes you, I guess, want to be the best version of you, what gets you up in the morning, and then going all in that direction. And for me, lifestyle is a high value of mine. I get up, I work, 5 to say 10, and then I have a few hours during the middle of my day to just chill, relax. I can go to the beach, I can see people, I can catch up. I've got freedom, and for me, that's what really I want my business to be about. And then I go back and I do a bit more in the afternoon. And I was travelled to play footy this year. I trained and did a half Ironman in the back end of last year and started this year. So I'm able to go and do everything that I want to do. And my business complements that. And that's what I lent into in my submission. And to me, that's what true entrepreneurship is. And I guess, that was obviously received well because I know there's a lot of people out there that think entrepreneurship is just endless hours and, you get worked over and you probably miss a lot of things in life that you don't get to go and do. And I think, if that's you and that's what you want to do, then absolutely go for it. But for me, that's just not me. And I'll always just try and be as true to me as possible. But I think for me, working out the true me has taken since like before the last time we caught up, 2020, whenever I joined the academy, it's taken 3 years of working that out for me to this year finally implement it and stay true to it and follow through on it. And that's why I see this year as different to the rest. Because for the first 2 to 3 years, it was just a lot of working that out, and it's uncomfortable, and you've got to go do the work on yourself and go do the work on your business. And now this year, I feel like I've reaped the rewards, gone in that direction, and now to be recognized, it's like, fuck, feels good. But it wasn't just this year, it was 3 or 4 years and everything before that, building you up to that for that to work. So I hope that answers your question around the
Yeah,
award and how it's awarded.
yeah, no, definitely does. If you were to, I guess, look at some of the actions to do that, because a thing that stood out is like you're very clear on what you want, and it does take time to achieve that. I think a lot of people never go in pursuit of figuring out what they want because when you feel overwhelmed or you feel lost, there's so many options or so many different directions that you could take your life, and that can be overwhelming for people, and it leads to inaction. But the most important thing that you've done is you made a decision around something that you felt you wanted, and you went in all in on that, and then over time you've refined that to put yourself in that position. I think that's a very key point to highlight for people. Get clear on what you want, even if it takes you a number of years, which it's more than likely going to. What do you feel though, if if you were a fly on the wall, right, and you're hanging around Watto 24/7, what would be some of the things that have allowed you to have the success that you've had? Like, because for me, it's very easy to, sit on the outside and go, okay, Watto decided he wanted to have a gym, he wanted to play footy in Melbourne, so he flew down, played, trained, and same with the business. But what are I guess the things going on in your head, the sacrifices that you had to make that people don't see?
Yeah, it's a really good question because, like you said, I guess you're probably seeing on like that macro level and you're seeing the results and it all happening. But I guess internally and for me, I put a huge focus on my discipline. I believe I'm highly self-disciplined, right down to my routines. I'm always trying to fine tune that and what works for me, especially the morning, especially at night. Um, I have that, down to an art form, on what I know works for me, and how to stay really high energy. I guess I think that's really what is required is managing your energy levels. And for me, I'm extroverted, so I'm lucky to do my job because when I'm around people, I get more energy, so that helps me, for sure. But right down to, as I said, just working out your morning, your night routine on a really simple level, and then trying to vision. And I'd spend a lot of time, uh, I'll say manifesting, but creating a vision for what's to come. Like I can see it all for myself, and I can see myself in those situations. And that award on the weekend, I've pictured myself winning that, right? And last year when I didn't win it and I was nominated, I went home and I said to my coach in an email, I said, I'm going to win that award one year. Like I told him that's what I was going to do. I visioned myself doing it, and then I was like, I know I need to up my game, but I'll work out what I need to, how to up my game on the go. I just know that's what I want, and then what are the action items around that. And so I think it's trying to, I guess, manifest or look ahead to what's to come. And last year, in preparation for this year, I planned my entire year out, on a calendar. I wrote in things that I hadn't done yet, but I wanted to do. And then I set myself towards that. And your plan to begin with is probably never going to be perfect, and you don't want to spend too long working that out. I think, like you said, some people probably think that they want to do something and then go, I don't even really know how to do it, so I'm not going to bother, right? I've built my life around deciding what I'm going to do and then starting and going in that direction, and it almost never looks the way that you planned it anyway. So just start going in that direction, and going in that direction anyway is the best part. Like whatever's at the end of it is great, and you think that's often what you're after, but it's whatever you've done along the way to get there. And I really felt that when I did my half Ironman at the start of this year. It was the most best feeling I've ever had in my life, crossing that line. But then when I look back, I'm like, the entire time training and committing yourself and getting your diet right and the endless hours, that was where I got more growth than the actual race itself. And that probably sounds not cliche, but that's like a really common feedback in doing things like that. And I've felt that now as well. So that would be my best advice, I think, is try and vision it for yourself first, create it, and it's first created up here and then out in reality.
Man, I am a massive believer. I believe if you can't see it in your mind, it's going to be very hard for you to create in reality, because the beauty of visualizing it, if you can't get it there, you need to start going to find out what the missing pieces are, and you get closer to creating that picture rather than just going, I can't see it, therefore I can't have it. It's like you can have it, you just got to fill in those missing pieces.
And you've got to
As
have that
someone
first
who,
experience. Oh, sorry, you go.
no, you go.
You've got to have that first, and this is what I was just thinking on then. You've got to have that first experience of making it work, and then you can replicate it. And I'm now in a position where
Hmm.
I've repeatedly done it now so many times that I have no fear in going after the next thing because I've stacked enough evidence for me to know that it works. And so I guess if it's your first time trying to commit to something, don't make it too big, don't make it too small, but just commit and stack the evidence and prove to yourself that you can do it, and then replicate it and replicate it and replicate it and replicate it, and then you can replicate it at scale, and start jumping into some 10x ideas of God knows what over time, which is what I'm starting to now dabble in as well. Is like what's next, and taking the time to work that out.
It's cool to see as well. And as someone who has been, I guess, a bit of a fly on the wall watching you grow over the last couple of years, you're very consistent. You show up on the call every week, like week in, week out, or if you don't, you'll message me and let me know. But you're probably one of the only people who brings a game plan all the time as well, which is what we use to track our progress. And the goals that you
Got it here
have
always.
when, yeah.
Always got it. Always
It's
got it.
it's it's when you set your goals as well, I believe they're realistic because they're always building on the next one. I don't feel like when you're setting goals, you're not just pulling random goals out of the air. You're doing something that's building on the previous one towards the next one. And that's why, sorry, I got something in my throat. That's why for me, I believe you've seen such success because you know what you want. So it's like, okay, you spoke a moment ago, what about if the goal seems too big, just break it down into something a bit more manageable and make that the 12-week goal because that'll be that next step or that block into building the wall. You just go block by block or step by step. And it's a very important thing. Another thing you do really well is with the questions that you ask or the feedback that you give to people, it's like genuinely sincere. And from my own insights, like listening to that, it's when you are able to give people attention in a way that they feel valued and heard, you cannot, I just can't see you going in any other way than being successful because one of the most important parts in business and in life is how you make people feel. And you've got the gift of the gab with that, or and I know you've worked on that, but and you're an extrovert, but you're very good at that and you do that every week on the call. And for me, it's not about highlighting that all the time on the call, but I wish people would go, okay, who's had a big year this year? And I would look at yourself or Gardy or a couple of other people, and you then go, okay, well, have they been on the call every week? Yes. Have they completed full game plans? Yes. Are they investing in themselves? Yes. You invest in the academy. You've also got the trainer. Sorry, what are
Trainer
they called
HQ.
again?
Yeah.
Your
Trainer HQ.
trainer
Yeah.
HQ. Yeah, trainer HQ, and you're always investing in yourself, and they're very important things because they're almost like the bumper rails in keeping you focused on where you want to go and the results that you want to have in your life.
No, I couldn't agree
So
more.
with
I just got a couple of things to say on that, Lockie. Like, just the framework that you provide, man. It's all there if you want it, and just show up consistently enough. And that is what's going to get there. Like you said, you asked earlier around if you followed me around for a day? Well, I fill this out every day. Like, I don't miss days. I take it home with me. I plan my day out. I know what it looks like. I reflect on what I did yesterday, and it's really, really easy to do, but it's also really, really easy not to do. And you've got to create the discipline around doing those really basic things, and they stack up over a period of time. I just had that thought while you were saying that, and what you said earlier around, how do you create success? Well, you don't have to do anything too crazy, to be honest. Like, in fact, I would be prompting you to just do the basics really, really well, and it allows you access to do bigger things after a period of time.
I agree, and that's what it is. I find it fascinating that people find consistency amazing.
Mm, same.
When you show up and constantly do what you said you would do, or you're still building your business, you're still training, I'm doing the same. People are like, you're still doing it? I'm like, well, yeah. That's what I said I was going to do. Like, it doesn't matter if it's raining or if I don't feel like doing it. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. Like, we don't need to overcomplicate it by throwing excuses in there or feeling like we don't have the information. You just start something and do the thing. You'll get feedback around what do I need to learn? How can I be better? You know, and the beautiful thing is as well, like I was running in the rain the other day. I can't miss runs at the moment. It was pissing down. Dude, on what day was it? I had two wet runs in a row. I had Friday and Saturday,
Yeah,
and my webbing in my toe like fully ripped. And I was like, I don't know how the fuck that happens when your feet are together.
yeah.
But for me, it's like I can't miss that run because I said I was going to do it. And I also know that for me right now, much like you were saying a moment ago, the celebration is the run or the end result, whereas the hard work and the opportunity for growth is what you do in the lead up to that. And people quite often want the end, but they don't want to do the hard shit to get there.
Man, I couldn't agree more. And like what you were just saying, I tick the same as you. My word to me is everything. And if I still say I'm going to do something, I just have to do it. Like, I just have to find a way. And I think that's really, really important, is having your own word to yourself. And like I said, that for me, that's just staying true to me, but also, if I commit, I commit. I'm all in on things, and 100%. I can't half-ass anything. And if I think I'm going to half-ass anything, then I'm not going to commit to it. And I just completely remove myself from whatever that is, and put my time, energy, and effort into something that I can. And it takes a little bit, I think, to work that out about yourself. And maybe not everyone ticks like that, but yeah, I just know that if you do have that if you have that feeling or that, a desire to do a little bit more or do something different, then there probably is something there to say, go and do it. And if you're going to do it, you may as well really go and do it. Like, don't fuck around. Just go in that direction as hard as you can. And like you said, the results are all on the other side of that, but it's often more just up here, probably where you're ticking over on committing in a direction. But yeah, you don't want to stay there for too long because once you take time to decide on things, you often talk yourself out of them rather than into them. So, yeah.
That's a great point, talking yourself out of things rather than into it. And that's a massive one. What's the biggest challenge you faced this year and how did you respond to it?
Oh, that's a good question. Uh, I'm actually going to say uh, I'm going to look at the back end of last year a little bit as well and into this year. So I did a half Ironman this year. Um, just over 12 months after I actually failed my first triathlon. I don't know if you remember that, but I fainted 400 meters short of the finish line in my first triathlon. And it would have been easy then to just go, I nearly got there, or I'll do another one maybe sometime. But I went back to the drawing board because I failed that because I had no plan. I had an ego around just going all guns blazing, and how I did that triathlon was how I do life. I was just gun ho, but went back to the drawing board, and it took 12 months. A large part I was training that for probably 8 months because I played a bit of footy there for 4 months in between. Went back to the drawing board and said, well, what did I do wrong last time? And I'm actually committing to a half Ironman this time, so I've got to do close to double of everything this time round. And then I created a plan and executed a plan around that was less ego and more accomplished. And then executing that on race day, because I'd failed the first race day, it felt like a long way back. But to get over the line, and the reason that I fainted the first time was dehydration, and failed to
Oh,
fuel up correctly on a really hot day. And then the second time round, there was moments off the bike where I was starting to cramp in my quads, and I was rushing. I had these thoughts rushing back of, fuck, it's going to happen again. Like, I can't believe this. I can't, like, I've planned and had to calm myself down and just try and breathe through and relax. And within, 5-10 minutes, the cramps had settled and I found my legs again and managed to finish off. And I can distinctly remember that point of like, oh no, it's happening again. I'm going to fail again. This is going to be so embarrassing. I can't believe this. Like, and I had to really try and calm myself down and overcome those thoughts. And thankfully was able to, and was able to cross the line. And that moment crossing the line for me was just euphoria because I'd failed so badly 12 months earlier. To then cross and hit the line and get that done was just like, it was me overcoming and beating myself. And it was also me making a really strong comeback after failing the first time round. But so it happened in Feb this year, so it counts as this year, I think. But it was probably 12 months worth
100%.
of planning and getting it right the second time round to overcome it.
I do. I'm glad you brought that up. I still remember when I hit you up to see how you went the first time. And you're like, I fainted, man. I was like, I thought you were taking a piss. I was about to give some back. And then one of the other boys in the group was like, no, what I fainted. I was like, far out, poor
Ah,
bastard.
man,
Like
yeah. I try and not think about it
that.
too much now. I just try and think about the one this year. But there's good lessons in it, so you
Yeah.
gotta acknowledge it. I can laugh about it now, but yeah, at the time the ego stung, and yeah, it was not ideal. But there was so many lessons in it, wasn't there? And I was able to go and rectify that, and then make it happen this year. So
Why weren't you defined by that failure? I think failure is a very interesting thing to look at. Many people would have had that happen and they never would have raced again. What makes you different?
it's a good question. I understand that uh, failure is inevitable, and I try and seek discomfort where I can. Not to that level again, I don't think, but I've been through, and the last time I jumped on your pod, Lockie, was under completely different circumstances. I lived out a life experience that was very challenging in ways that is often unimaginable, and was able to come out the other side and redefine who I was and where my life was and the direction it was going. And that experience itself was really truly life changing, and there was a heap of adversity involved in that. that I was able to get through. And now I have this like feeling of like uh, not seeking anything, like trying to find that out for myself, seeking it out on my own terms, I guess. But I understand on a really deep level what it's like to find that and get through that and get through things. And I get that same sort of feeling after failing something or coming out the other side and recreating it. So I think it's, yeah, a little bit of that for sure. But yeah, I guess it's resilience that you build as well. And I often, even with a couple of my mates, always talk about just building character. And if something's not going well or something's going to be tough, I will always say it builds good character. I try and reprogram and redefine what tough and challenging things mean to me, and try and seek them out if anything, because I know that I'm going to be a better person and better for it. And it's a mindset change that some people might not understand, but for me, that's how I just try and reframe and reprogram things. Is, well, I'm going to be better for this, and often that is on the other side of failure. But I'm going to have better character, more character, like. So it's like a mindset shift, I think, that isn't easy to adapt, but at the same time, it can be done with a bit of programming or reprogramming, I guess, around what challenges and failures actually mean to you and how they're inevitable, and how often, if you're finding them constantly and getting through them, you can stack evidence to actually reprogram and shift what that actually means to you. Because if someone's facing a challenge, they can often go, is this too much? All right, I'm not going to do it. Or to someone else, that same challenge is like, I'm going to get over that and through it and go the other side. And that's the two differences, I think, in people that actually get what they want and achieve things that they want rather than or don't.
Spot on. It's definitely a mindset thing and understanding the lesson that is on the other side. We only know what we know, and if we knew the things we needed, we would have the results to accompany that. And obviously, when you don't have the results, it's because you don't understand things. And if everyone were to get everything right the first time, there would be no such thing as failure, and everyone would be wealthy, healthy, and happy. And the reality is, if you look around, that yeah, it'd be like the Truman Show. You'd wake up and the same shit would be happening every day. We'd be shitting gold bricks. But it's the challenge of that is if you want to be one of those one percenters, you have to shift your mindset to the point where you have a healthy relationship with failure because in order to learn, you must fail. And the level that you can fail, so the level that you get comfortable failing is the level that you get comfortable succeeding in. So if you want to succeed quickly, you better buckle up because you're going to fail fast and you're going to fail hard. But if you're not comfortable with that, accept success may a little bit be a little bit slower, and that's personal for each individual. And what I've witnessed with you, what over the last couple of years is like you're just going hard, man, like balls to the wall. What does it look like for you now? Now that you've spent the last couple of years sort of getting to know who you are and what you want and what you stand for, to now having this year where you've been recognized for the work that you've done. I still don't believe that a bit of recognition changes the work ethic or who you are. You've been that person. Now people are starting to take notice, which is awesome. But what does that look like for you for 2025?
Yeah, that's a really good question because that is something I've put a little bit of thought into, especially when we were reflecting Thursday, Friday at the conference, and then even again over the weekend. Because I got that question. It's like, well, what's next? What's on for 2025? And I'm gonna have to take a little bit of time because, like you said, each year on year for the last few years, it's been really clear to me what I'm working towards in terms of goals and business revenue. And personally, it's been, I know what I'm going for. And to now feel like I've got a lot of alignment with that, the direction next year to me, it isn't clear yet. And I think that's really, really cool because it shows me that, I've got a lot of things in place that I was working towards. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time now for me to decide that and sit with that. And for now, it's just going to be more of the same. Like you said, a little bit of recognition for me is not going to change anything. If anything, I've got a level to live up to now, and I've got a reputation to uphold, and I'm going to be doing much of the same that's got me to where I am now. And like I said, you got to do the basics really, really well. So none of that will change, and then I think it'll be clear in a short amount of time what's next. And when it comes time to recognize that and go in that direction, I'm going to repeat the evidence that I've stacked already and going hard and fast in that direction and working the rest out along the way. Yeah, so there's not one big thing that I know yet, but I know I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and have been doing and take a little bit of time. As I said, this time last year, I sat down and I planned out 2025 in December on a calendar and everything that I wanted to do. And for me, next year, I want to do a little bit of travel. I'm going to book that in. And I was saying on the weekend as well, I
Epic.
doing a month in Europe was where I want to go. For me, that's an awesome personal achievement to go and do, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot about myself over there. But for me, that's a business goal because if I can leave my business for a month and have it operate without me, I know I've got my business to a level that is higher than I've had it before. So it's twofold for me, something like that. And that might end up just being my goal that I tick off for next year. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have this really clear thing that I'm working towards for once. But I think for me also, maybe sitting with that and not having something to work towards could be a goal in itself as well, because I have been, like you said, just one thing after the other, after the other, maybe sitting in some stillness for a month or two before it's time to commit to something could be really cool as well. Because like I said to you, if I'm not really ticked to do something, I won't commit to it at all. And if I create a goal just for the sake of creating a goal, then my chances at executing and actually doing it and sticking with it are probably going to be pretty low anyway, or less than they have before. So I think I'm just going to sit with it for a
Love it.
little bit, and I'll plan out next year, and yeah, reflect on this year. And when it comes time, you'll be one of the first to know, of course, and we'll go in that direction.
Can't wait to hear what it is. I think two things that jumped out for me was the first one, if you're not motivated to do it, you're not going to set a goal for the sake of it. I think that's a very important thing because when you go back to evidence that you stack or confidence that you build from completing or moving towards achieving a goal, most people are setting goals that they think sound sexy or people will like, but they're not doing it for intrinsic reasons and they set themselves up to fail and they compound poor confidence and poor results and poor evidence. The second thing was taking time to actually think about it. When you become more successful, I would say, and when I say successful, I mean you're getting runs on the board and evidence on the board to support who you're becoming in the life that you're building. You don't have to make as many goals, I don't believe, because I'm in that same boat where my life is amazing, my health is amazing, my finances are amazing, and everything's great. And I would definitely want it to be better, but I don't have that same hunger. What I'm, I guess, challenging myself to do is like live life and earn more in different ways. The fact that I can take more than 2 months off now, really from proper work, to focus on running around America, to me is the pat on the back that you've built this business to do what it does. And like, it's humbling to do that. Like, that's cool. And yeah, maybe I'll experience the issues in January, February, March, but I would never figure that out if I didn't take the risk to do that anyway. And much like you said, it's a business goal as much as it is a personal goal and a fundraising goal. It's just like where it's all connected and it's all linked. And it's just like this new version of who I want to become. And I think, yeah, taking time to think about that, think about the impact of goals. And sometimes you can just give yourself a couple of months. I think when I moved to America, I gave myself probably 3 or 4 months before I actually set a hardcore goal again. I was just like wanting to enjoy myself and look at things, learn things, and experience things.
I couldn't agree more. Everything you just said was resonating with me so much, and the direction that you're going and what you're doing, like that inspires me as well because you're showing us what's possible, and I think that's really, really cool to be able to see someone go and do that, and then see that for yourself as well. And like you said, I'm probably going to take the rest of December to, really think about the next goal, and I'm really keen to start next year with a bang. Like the first, I think setting a year, like an intention for the year and a goal. The start of this year, I did 12 weeks off alcohol completely, and especially leading into the event. And I'll probably do the same again next year, I think, just to set myself up and get some real clarity and, take control and do a lot of thinking and break the cycle of what I'm doing just to learn a bit more about myself because I got so much out of that this year as well. So I think I can resonate with that so much. Take the time if you've got it, and it's a cool, really cool place to be for me because it does feel like I've sort of just leveled up to this level now, and I can take the time to think about what's next. And like I said, the idea of 10xing and going again in a really big way in a direction. I need that feeling of fuck, that's scary maybe, like, and have that self doubt again and go through the process of potentially failing and probably failing again, and get on the other side of that, and then do it again on another level and repeating the process. So yeah, it's cool to see, and we'll see what comes.
How do you feel 18-year-old Watto would be viewing you? Like, how do you feel he'd feel about you?
Yeah, I think he would be. I think he would be inspired, for sure, and that's some common feedback I get, around being inspirational, and still feels uncomfortable for me to own that in a lot of ways. Even saying that just then, I don't fully grasp the impact that I'm having on that level for some people. But I would also be the most proud, I think, around my resilience, and seeing someone be so resilient, it gets me going. I think so. I can't. I think if I was 18 to now, like, I've changed so much, but it's like weight loss. Like, you often don't see the results in the mirror, when you're losing weight, and then someone will say to you one time, "Wow, you've lost so much weight," and you'll go, "Oh, like, well, how good's that?" That's how it is for me as well. Like, from 18 to now, I've just been going through and doing my thing, going this direction. And then now to think like the change then to there, it's hard to grasp in a lot of ways. But I think especially this year, this has been my year where I've turned from a boy to a man. I truly believe that. I still think I had, not immaturities, but I think I've really found myself and grown up in a lot of ways. And like you said, owned who I am. And I think some people don't find that out for so long, sometimes ever. But for me, that this
Mm.
year has been line in the sand sort of year, with owning that and moving into that and being able to say that to you. So, yeah, and that's taken 10 years from when I was 18. So I think if I was talking to my 18-year-old self, it would just be to just say, look, it's all there in front of you. If you want it, you've just got to show up and do the basics, and do them well.
That's the key if you want it. So outside of business, what are you working on? Like you've said, you've done a couple of halves. Like, is there anything that you're training towards within 2025?
Yeah, really good question. I've gone. I finished footy last game, and have given the body a little bit of a break off cardio. I'm about to finish up a 12-week strength program. I've been doing it with my members, which has been really cool to go through their experience and do all that together, and feel really really strong in the body, strong in the mind. I'll enter some cardio back in the start of next year, and then build up for footy again. But I guess a physical goal for me now, isn't really on the cards. I'm studying again at the moment, which has been cool to get back into and upskill in, because I'm always looking for ways to be a better trainer, and better at what I do. I think that's really, really important. So I think now, for now, like, doing that and pushing my body in a strength direction. I've never done that before. Like, I've always worked out, obviously, but I've always paired it up with cardio and playing footy and tried to do that,
Yeah.
do it all. And at the moment, I'm just seeing what I can do in that direction, with my movements, and get really, really strong in my foundations, and take the time to focus on that and go through that with my members. So for now, that's cool. It's been cool to do that and do it really, really well. So yeah, that's it for now. But who knows? At the start of next year, something might grab my attention. But yeah, like I said, going into footy season, I normally just focus on that, just play a bit of footy, and yeah, for me, like, footy just, it's my thing. I've always done it. It's something that I love doing, and I want to play footy for as long as I can, while my body allows me to, because you can't. You're a long
Mm.
time retired, and all those physical challenges. And a full Ironman is absolutely on my agenda. I will do one day, but I want to do it and do it well and train for 12 months in the lead up. And it's just right now, I don't want to overbite and try and do too much. I'll get to that one day for sure, but I've already visioned myself crossing that full Ironman line. Like, I can see that already, started to create those visions, even though I might not do one for 10 years. I already know that's on my pipeline.
Oh man, that excites me.
Yeah,
One of
same.
the biggest regrets that I live with is retiring from rugby too early. So it's awesome to hear
Mm,
you say that you want to, play for as long as you can because not, I quit one because of the culture, but two more so to try and build a business. And I wish I had the head on the shoulders that you do, where you realize you can do all of it. It's
mm,
just about managing your time and your priorities. And my body will never be able to go back to doing that. So,
Yeah,
I've got the next however many years of my life thinking about, wishing to play that. But I find, there's
yeah,
other competitive outlets, so
for
that's
sure.
fine. What's the study like, man? What are you studying again?
Studying a corrective exercise program, essentially. So it's all self-paced. It'll probably take me 6 to 8 months. So there's a fair bit of
Yep.
self-discipline required to get back into study mode. At the moment, I've just been doing 2 to 3 1 hour blocks a week and just blocking everything out, sitting down and just fitting it in where I can. But essentially, it's correcting people's movement patterns from either being sedentary or overuse, which is cool. And some stuff I've already learned along the way and go, oh yeah, cool, I know that, and I can see that. And then they provide a framework to sort of apply. And the direction I see, like I see people every day come in with broken movement patterns, especially around sitting. Like you've working 9 to 5 in front of a desk, in front of a computer, at a
Hmm.
desk and chair. Your body now, like you've heard it before, sitting is the new smoking. It's really creating some problems for people in their everyday life. So trying to get on the front foot with fixing that, because I think there's going to be more of it to come. And being able to learn a framework and apply that and learn some new cool little things, I think it's going to be really applicable in terms of upskilling myself as a trainer. And it's one of those basics I've got to do really, really well. I've got to fix people's problems, both physically and between the ears when they come to the gym. So, yeah, I saw an opportunity and I see a gap in the market because I think there's going to be more of it and it's going to be more in demand. And yeah, I'm excited to see what comes from it. I'm only just started maybe 6 8 weeks ago, but as I said, I'm just chipping away at it and finish it sometime next year, and then work out what that looks like in a business sense. Can it be applied to the business? Can I offer something in terms of programming, take people on? Automatically in my PTs, it's going to be awesome to be able to implement that straight away and help my guys some more as well. So, yeah, different, cool, getting back into that study mindset. I haven't studied for God knows how long, but yeah, it's yeah, finding
Yeah,
ways to make it complement your life. I don't want to be what I'm learning about and sit there for 5 6 hours and study. Like I'm doing 1 hour blocks and then just try to do that 2 3 times a week for now.
dude, I think you've got it sorted there, man. I'm excited to see what happens, and you're continuing to invest in yourself, both financially with the coaching and the things that you do, but also in your mind to become a better coach. And cream rises to the top, mate. If you want to be one of those one percenters, that's what you need to do to get ahead and to stand out and to be able to add more value to more people. And it just blows my mind that we have access to, podcasts like much like this or YouTube or courses, coaches, and we can learn all of these things that can literally change our life, whether we do it for our own personal use, learning about nutrition, movement patterns, making money, our relationships, or if you're doing it to apply to your business or your career. It's there and available, yet people still don't dedicate time to using the resources that are available, and it blows my mind, but it also inspires me to see you grabbing life by the balls and doing those things so that you can be the best version of yourself, and as you said earlier, create the life that you want to live, one that you wake up jumping out of bed knowing that you've got a bit of downtime to go for a
Yeah.
swim, you're playing the sports, but you're also having an impact and building a business that you're proud of.
I couldn't agree more. We've got more access to information, if you want it, than ever before. And like I said to you, part of my morning routine, I get half an hour of a podcast in of some sort first thing in the morning around health and fitness. I've got a specific trainer or a group of trainers that I listen to, and that's how I start my day. And I think being intentional with how you start your day, and what you're consuming is really, really important. Even here, I've got my values up on the wall. I see that first thing in the morning every day. Right now, I can see my calendar over here. I fill out the journal every day. And so by proximity, I've created a system around being inspired and staying on track. And if you don't do those things and take control, then you go the other direction. And unfortunately, as powerful as and how cool it is to get access to information, you are often going to be set up to fail based on algorithms if they're going the other way, because you're going to consume content that is just not helpful at all, and consume more of it. And
Mm.
it comes down to creating that system for yourself to be empowered. And that's what I try and do as much as I can, to try and create some self accountability as well. But yeah, it's all a control thing to me. I don't like not being in control of myself. And the more I see what's happening, a lot of people, they're not in control of any part of their life. They're just going through the cycle of life, and life's happening to them. And at any point, it takes a second to make that decision to switch. Um,
Yep.
and I think what you and I are doing is trying to inspire more of that, and try and create evidence for people that you can do it. And there's nothing special about you and I that no one else can't do. That's the thing. It's just around being around those people more. And that's why I show up on the call every week, because it keeps me accountable. And I'm around people that are trying to be better. And you've got to find those sort of people. And along with everything this year, one thing I did was I created new connections with people that are like that. And I made that decision to go, I need to create and get myself around more like-minded people. And that meant letting go of some people, putting some people in some different positions in my life, and trying to find people that give me energy and support me, and lift each other up and be part of your group, as much as I can, because you've got to try and understand that as much as you can. Otherwise, you let negativity fill you up, you let the internet just control what you're consuming, and that's the direction your life will go.
Well said, dude. Well said. Where can people find you? You're up in Caloundra, but where can people, one, follow you if they want to work with you? How does that all work?
Yeah. Yeah, really good question. Yeah, What Fit Caloundra is my studio. Opened that one 2 years ago. So if anyone wants to come check it out, I'm always in there. Don't worry about that. If you want to jump in and do a sesh, my studio, I'm really really proud of what I've created there, and love showing it off. And yeah, that's a lifetime's worth of work that's gone into that, and like you said, many failings. So even when I walk into there every day, I still feel inspired just walking in there, and some of the stories around it. So What Fit Caloundra, check out what we're doing. Yeah, if you want to come in and train, meet, chat, I'm always open. Like you said, Lockie, I love helping people. I really, really do. And I will always listen. And I know people appreciate being heard. I believe empathy is a superpower. And I'm empathetic with everyone that I meet on any level. I'll take the time to chat things out. And yeah, it gets me going. I get more, just as much of helping someone as what they do from my help.
Man, I love it. Mate, it's obviously been super inspiring getting to watch firsthand, and I've been wanting to have this convo on a public platform for a long while since we did our first one, just because you've literally just made such huge improvements in your quality of life. And it just goes back to that quote where you're like, the universe can get the fuck out of your way because I'm creating the life that I want. And the confidence and intensity that you said that in that episode, looking back, I'm like, it's no wonder you're in the position that you're in. And there's so many things that I've witnessed, from consistency to filling out the game plan to investing in yourself to not overcommitting to things, is the reason why I believe you've become so successful. And for anyone listening, you're someone that I value being around. I value when we get to have phone calls, because when much to your point before, I want to be around people who are doing cool shit and who are inspiring me, because it just helps me continue to lift my standards. There would have been no way I could have gone on this podcast right now and walked off not feeling more inspired. So thank you for that.
Brother, thank you. And right back at you. Everything you just said, you're a mentor of mine. I love everything that you're doing, seeing what you're doing next year with the marathons. That just gets me going. It makes me want to be better. And you got to be around people like that. You got to be around people like that as much as you can, because people that make you want to be better, yeah, you got to seek them out and spend as much time with them as you can. And, for me, business can be a lonely place sometimes. I'm a one-man band, but I seek out people like yourself and my business coach Carlson as well. I know that you guys are going to be able to make me and lift me up as much as possible. So thank you as well, brother. I really appreciate everything you do, and yeah, you've been a big part of getting to me where I am today. And no doubt, whatever happens over the next few years, we could be doing this again in 2, 3 more years and talking about God knows what.
We will be, brother. Jacob Watson, everyone, founder of What Fit Caloundra. He was the Entrepreneur of the Year at the Trainer HQ Awards, and someone that I'm inspired in massive amounts. Mate, thank you so much for your time. As always, do something today to be better for tomorrow.